In this episode, we talk about a Russian woman and her two daughters who were found living in a cave in Karnataka. We also talk about the new NCERT Class 8 social science book and its description of the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughals. But first, we talk about a recent controversy that saw the local administration in Jammu and Kashmir allegedly put local leaders, including the Chief Minister, under house arrest. Hi, I am Niharika Nanda, and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. On Sunday, tensions flared in Jammu and Kashmir when several local leaders, including Chief Minister Omar Abdullah, were confined to their homes and stopped by the police from visiting a cemetery to mark what is known as Martyrs' Day. The day has long held political significance in the region, but it was removed from the list of public holidays after the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. In response to the restrictions, the Chief Minister attempted to defy the orders and enter the cemetery but was stopped by security forces. The incident has once again highlighted the ongoing tensions between local leaders and the centre, tensions that have only deepened since the abrogation. To discuss the significance of Martyrs' Day and what unfolded in the valley, my colleague Shashank Bhargav speaks to the Indian Express's Naveed Iqbal.
Naveed, could you begin by telling us a bit about the history of Martyrs' Day? Tell us, what exactly is it supposed to commemorate?
In 1931, 22 Kashmiri Muslim persons protesting outside the central jail were killed by the Dogra regime. And after that, Sheikh Abdullah, who's called J&K's tallest leader, he marked this as Martyrs' Day. And since then, July 13th every year was marked as a holiday and as Martyrs' Day in Kashmir.
And what would you say has been the political significance of Martyrs' Day in J&K?
So this is seen as sort of the first uprising against the Dogra regime and also a near beginning of the political consciousness of within J&K itself. When these 22 bodies were taken to Pathar Masjid in Srinagar, it's where Sheikh Abdullah's, one of his key political speeches, has been recorded in history. And after this, he changed the name of Muslim Conference to National Conference, which is now the biggest political party of J&K.
And we know that BJP has traditionally been opposed to it, right? Could you talk about why that has been the case?
I think there are some schools of thought, including the BJP, that see it as a Muslim uprising against Hindu rulers. And so they think that this was more a militant fight or a protest than against the ruling dispensation, the Dogra rulers of the time, then a political consciousness or a political protest at the time. This holiday was done away with only after the abrogation of Article 370, before which J&K had its own constitution. And along with the doing away of July 13th, the LG government at the time, the LG administration, also on the same day did away with the J&K calendar holiday for the birth anniversary of Sheikh Abdullah, which is December 5th. So these two holidays were struck off J&K's calendar on the same day. Additionally, in the same sort of order, they added Maharaja Hari Singh's birthday, which is October 26th, to J&K's calendar. So significant developments around the same episode.
And this was the first Martyrs' Day after J&K got back its assembly, since it's had its new chief minister. Talk about what we saw local leaders do that day.
So initially, after the 2019 order, which came out in December, the following year's Martyrs' Day was marked largely by statements by political leaders. And also, more or less, everyone was restricted from leaving their houses and paying homage at the Martyrs' graveyard in the Hazrat Naqshband Sahib Dargah in downtown Srinagar. However, this was the first occasion when an elected government was in place, and while all the signs pointed to the fact that they will most likely not be allowed to go there, this year again, with an elected government, they were all restricted to their homes with mobile bunkers placed outside their residences, and also padlocked. Their gates of their residences were padlocked by security forces. So these are elected individuals that could not step out of their homes that day.
And what kind of responses have we seen from them? What did they do after this action was taken by the police?
That day, there was a lot of calling out of the LG administration that holds the Home Department, all the security, law and order concerns fall under the LG's purview. And so there was a lot of, obviously, like Umar called it, the tyranny of the unelected against the elected. And a lot of politicians commented on the fact that history cannot be changed by locking people up in the present. And that no matter how many restrictions are placed, the contribution of, these martyrs to J&K's political struggle, so to speak, cannot be taken away. And also, like, they said that Martyrs' Day is one day, but these graves are there, like, throughout the year, and they can visit them any time of the year. So it's a bit short-sighted to lock all individuals up on one particular day when they can actually go there any day of the year.
And the visual that has now gone viral is that of Omar Abdullah going to the cemetery and trying to cross over the fence. Could you talk about that visual and how the security forces responded to him doing that?
So, while Umar has his own security detail and he'd just come back from a visit to West Bengal, and on July 14th, which was Monday, he attempted a visit to the Martyrs' graveyard. He was walking on the main pavement outside the dargah, and he basically, before reaching the gate, he just decided to cross over from the fence of the mazar. Farooq Abdullah is supposed to have reached there in an auto rickshaw, and Umar's cabinet minister Sakina Ittu just hopped on someone's scooty and reached there. So it was a bit theatrical, the whole thing, but I think Umar was also manhandled by security at the event, which is unprecedented because he's been CM before and his party's been in government here for almost 30 years. But after a bit of a scuffle, he sort of managed to reach there. And they also, while paying their respects at the graveyard, were holding the NC flag there, which was also significant.
And Naveed, is this the first time that Omar has found himself this much at odds with the administration and the center since he became the chief minister again?
So this was the first sort of scuffle that he got into with the security forces. He normally doesn't get involved like this. In Jammu, I remember at some point, a couple years ago, before he was elected, he took the padlock from his gate and he threw it in front of the house. Again, he was being restricted and he just took the padlock and he threw it. But this is the first of his kind sort of direct confrontation. He's been having issues with the Raj Bhavan for a long time, with like files stuck there and transaction of business rules not getting cleared. He's had his issues. He wrote to the PM and the chief secretary and the home minister about it. But I think until now, he was being very polite in his measures and he was quite resolute in his statements that fighting doesn't get me anywhere. We need funds from the center. We need to work for the people. That is our mandate. But over security, I think both he and his language got rougher.
And after Umar Abdullah became the chief minister, there was a sense that now normalcy would return to J&K, normalcy in terms of how politics is conducted in the valley. But this move, confining leaders to their homes is very reminiscent of what was happening in 2019. So could you talk about what this moment signals for the valley?
So for me, from here, I would look at what happens on 5th August now. If the leaders try to commemorate August 5th, which is the day that Article 370 was abrogated and the former state was split into two, will there be bunkers outside their homes again? Will they in any way be allowed to commemorate that day? And also, I think the bite of not having law and order in his portfolio, the government is only realizing now. I mean, they've had their platitudes. They've said that you have to include the people in assessing or assuaging the security situation in J&K. But I think the real bite of that has come now because they've been restricted themselves and like the chief minister has been manhandled by security officials who used to report to him earlier. Like Umar, as chief minister, used to lead the unified command meetings, which is police, security agencies, army, intelligence agencies. The chief minister headed all that in J&K. And now he's actually asked to move out of security reviews. Like if there's a general development meeting, he sits there and then he has to actually get up and leave the room. So these things will sting a chief minister who's seen better days. And now he's really got his hands tied behind his back because in J&K, security decides everything.
And next, we turn our attention to Karnataka, where a rather unusual development came to light last week. On the 9th of July, the Gokarna police were on a routine patrol in a forested area. This was the Uttara Kannada district, which covers a large part of the Western Ghats mountain range. When we spoke to the Indian Express's Kiran Parashar, He told us that this region receives very heavy rainfall.
So there have been incidents of landslides and other things. However, there is also place for trekking and for adventure activities. Also, a lot of natural waterfalls in this region has a good amount of attraction.
So he says that during the monsoon season, local authorities typically carry out combing operations in the forested areas.
Just to check if some adventure enthusiasts or others have tried to venture into the forest, and they bring them to the safe zone, and they either let off with a warning or they will book a case against them for venturing into the forest without permission. And also this is a quite dangerous forest because there are a lot of snakes and other things.
And so this was the kind of combing operation that Gokarna Police Station Inspector Sridhar SR and his team were conducting on the 9th of this month.
So when they were walking near that Ramatirtha hill, which is again a tourist spot, so they found that there were some few things which are used by humans. For example, it might be a plastic cover, and there were footsteps and all these things, which was heading towards a cave. So when they approached near the cave, they saw a god's idol there, which was also decorated with fresh flowers.
Now, as they moved closer, they came across something rather surprising. Inside the cave, they found a woman sleeping beside her young children, with one of them playing nearby. They later discovered that the woman was actually from Russia.
So they were really shocked to see that this woman and those children, and they brought them out, and after that they came to know that these people were staying in that cave for a long time. Police say that they were staying there for nearly 2 months.
They eventually brought all of them back to the main town, and after a detailed investigation, the police uncovered her entire story.
The person that we are discussing about is Nina Kutina. Her name is Nina Kutina. She's a 40-year-old woman. She has 2 daughters who are aged 6 years, 7 months, and another one is 4-year daughter. So she came to India on a business visa in 2016. Her visa got expired in 2017. And after that, she sought an exit permit. And after that exit permit, she went to Nepal. And from Nepal, she was deported and she reached back to South India on road. She did not take any flight or anything of that sort. She is a highly spiritual woman, as police say. So she is very much attracted towards the Indian traditions, Indian culture, and also the spirituality, yoga, and other things. So she has been living in the caves of both Goa and Gokarna for some time.
He says the police suspect that she may have been living in the region since as far back as 2018, and yet she never came under their radar, likely because she never checked into a hotel.
See, if you check into a hotel room, you will have to provide your identity credentials. Like, for example, we have to provide Aadhaar card. So when you are in other country, the first document that you have to provide is the passport. Whereas in Nina's case, she has not come under the radar of, she has not checked into any hotels, provided if somebody has provided her accommodation without collecting her passport. So as we speak, the police have not found any kind of that. And she has not taken any flight journey. Because if you take flight journey also, you need to provide all these documents. She has not taken any flight journey. So very interested and curious about these things. What the investigation has suggested that she worked in Goa for some time as a travel agent for Russians. There is a lot of Russian population which comes to Goa. So she used to help them locally with the travel plans and itineraries, and also she used to teach Russian language to Indians and other people, and also she used to teach yoga to foreigners in Goa.
Now, considering that 3 of them had been living in this cave for over 2 months, the question is, how did they manage to survive without access to food or basic utilities nearby?
So basically what police say is that this woman used to buy groceries for 15 days or a month, and she used to take that and store it in the cave. She also had stored woods from which they used to cook food, and they used to feed themselves. She used to come to Gokarna town to buy groceries or other things, and she used to return back to the cave. In the cave during the night, there was no light facility or anything of that sort. There were a couple of candles that were found in that cave. Besides that, probably they would have put a small amount of fire during the night, is what police also believe. And during their interaction with the woman, they also discussed about there are a lot of poisonous snakes here. Are you not afraid of snakes? And so then she said that I am totally not afraid of snakes. In fact, snakes are our friends. So there is a nearby waterfall in that place. So she said that whenever she goes to take bath with her children to waterfalls, even snakes follow, and the snakes also roam around. Until and unless we attack them or we trouble them, they don't do anything to us. So police were surprised a bit when she spoke about her experience in a cave. However, she also sent a couple of messages in Russian where she spoke about that she was very happy to live in a cave, living a natural life. In her message, she said that I'm more feared of people and not of animals. So she feels that she was very happy staying in a cave inside the forest.
And Kiran, the other really interesting thing about this story is that her two daughters were actually born in India. But considering that she had been living in caves and in forests for so long, did she have access to any medical facilities while giving birth? Do we know anything about that?
So, just out of curiosity, one of the cops to who I spoke, a woman police constable, spoke to Nina asking like how did she give birth to a child then she told that she gave birth to the child on her own without any help in a cave in forest in Goa. That is what she has said. So now police are not verifying her claims in the first part. And second thing is, for police, it becomes immaterial because legally speaking, they have caught hold of an overstaying national and they want to send her back to her own country. Meanwhile, there is an interesting part in this, Niharika. Now, we know that these children were born in India, but we don't know who the father is. So, when police asked about who the father of the children were, she was not comfortable sharing the name of the father and she said that she doesn't want to discuss about all those things. However, the investigations by yesterday late night, what I discovered was the said father is still in India, is a foreign national, is said to be in India, and the FRO officials have asked them to appear before them to discuss this issue.
And also, since Nina's daughters were born in India, does that make them Indian citizens?
So before, if you see the Citizenship Act of India, then by birth you could have become the citizen of India. But in 2003, there was an amendment that was passed which says that if a child is born in India, it will not automatically get the citizenship by birth. So there are 2-3 possibilities. Now, if the child is born to either one of the parent is Indian and the other person is staying in India on a valid passport or visa, on valid documents, then by birth, the children can become Indian citizens. In this specific case, first of all, according to the investigation, the father of the child is not Indian. Even then, hypothetically speaking, even if the father of the children is an Indian, even in that case, the citizenship by birth will not be given to these kids because at the time of the delivery or at the time of the birth of these two kids, Nina was already a illegal immigrant or overstaying national. So technically speaking, they are not Indian citizens.
Also, Kiran, is she complying with the authorities now and has she agreed to go back to Russia?
So Niharika, legally speaking, she doesn't have a choice other than returning back to her country. I tried to talk to her, to which she refused. But one of the cops who were with her, they said that she has not just lived in the forest in India, she has also lived in forests in other places as well. That is what her claim is. So there also she has lived a very happy life, and here also she believes that she has led a very good life, natural life, and she was not curtailed to 4 walls. And in her words, if I have to say, I'll just give you the summary of that message that she said. Our peaceful life in the cave has ended, our cave home destroyed, and we are now held in a place without sky, grass or waterfall, sleeping on a cold, hard floor, supposedly protected from rain and snakes. From years living under the open sky in harmony with nature, we know no snake or animal ever harmed us. Only people have ever brought fear or danger. Rain is nature's greatest gift, bringing joy, strength and health. Yet humans oppress all around them, including each other. Once again, evil has prevailed. We sincerely wish each of you a kind, free, and beautiful life, untouched by the narrow minds and actions of fools. This is the summary of the message that she had sent in Russian, which I managed to access.
And Kiran, what is the current situation? Where are the three of them living currently? And what is the plan of action? Has the Foreign Regional Registration Office or the FRRO gotten involved in the matter yet?
So they were brought to the town and they were given an accommodation in an ashram in Kumta Taluk, which is very close to Gokarna. So the kids were very much thrilled to see light during night, and also they were very happy to see the comfortable beds which were provided to them. And there were a couple of videos where they were enjoying it. They feel that she may get agitated with more questions and other things. So they have sent her to Bangalore with the kids, where she is now in a place where these overstaying nationals are usually kept. Another thing is that now she is in the custody of FRRO department. FRRO has also communicated with the Russian embassy, and the communications have been made to ensure her deportation from India. So after the communication, the next stage is who will fund the air tickets. That becomes a question. So when I was speaking to a couple of advocates yesterday, they said that in cases of countries where people are from non-enemy nations, usually what it happens is that either they will have to raise funds for their return to go back to their country. When it comes to enemy nations, like if Pakistani national overstaying in the country, then the government just want to send them back to their country. They don't want to take any kind of troubles in future. So when it comes to Russia, one of the advocate who explained me saying that there have been a couple of foreign nationals who have been overstaying, who are in a detention center waiting to get some funds to return back to their country. While I was speaking to an FRRO official, he said that no, we are going to send them back and Indian government will bear the cost of her exit, this thing. So according to FRRO, they are going to send back when this bureaucratic communications is completed.
And in the end, we highlight the recent changes made to NCERT school textbooks. The NCERT is the apex body responsible for drafting school textbooks, which are used by over 4 crore students every year. This week, it released part 1 of the social science book for class 8, which will be used in the current academic session. The book, titled Exploring Society, India and Beyond, is the first to introduce students to the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughals. In her report, the Indian Express's Abhinaya Harigovind points out that the book describes Babur as a brutal and ruthless conqueror, slaughtering entire populations of cities, and Akbar's reign as a blend of brutality and tolerance. The book also mentions Aurangzeb, who it says destroyed temples and gurudwaras, and highlights many instances of religious intolerance during that period. In the new book, the sections on the Sultanate and the Mughals contain multiple references to attacks on temples and the brutality of some of the rulers, none of which are mentioned in the old Class 7 NCERT book that introduced students to this period of history. Some examples cited include Alauddin Khilji's General Malik Kafur, who is said to have attacked Hindu centers like Srirangam, Madurai, Chidambaram, and possibly Rameswaram. Akbar's reign was described as a blend of brutality and tolerance, with the book noting that even though he later became more inclusive, non-Muslims were kept in a minority in the higher echelons of the administration. Later, the book states that some of the invaders and rulers mentioned above committed terrible deeds and atrocities, but it adds a cautionary note, which says, quote, "It is important to keep in mind that we, today, bear no responsibility for the actions of individuals hundreds of years ago." Unquote. When asked about these references, NCERT told the Indian Express that the events described in the book did happen and are a part of history. It said that the rationale for including them is explained in the note titled Some Darker Periods in History. The account, it said, does not sanitize the past, but is balanced and based on evidence. The book also includes a warning that no one today should be held responsible for historical events. These new textbooks are a part of NCERT's efforts to align with the National Education Policy 2020 and the National Curriculum Framework for School Education 2023. You were listening to Three Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Shashank Bhargav and me, Niharika Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.